All rise for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Alvarez.
Here.
Councilman Cullen.
Here.
Councilwoman Eckhart.
Here.
Councilwoman Hudak.
Here.
Supervisor Hay.
Here. Notation exits in the front and the rear. Electronic devices, please put them on vibrate or shut them off, please. Okay. You know what? I better do the same.
I know, I just had to turn mine off. Yes.
Come on.
Did you open the meeting?
I think we did.
Did you?
No, we're going to do it in a second. I just told them to shut the
Oh,
okay, power off. That's all they would have needed, have mine go off.
I would have closed it.
Huh?
I should have closed it.
Okay. I make a motion to go into the work session.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, because the work session is going to take probably the longest time on the agenda, I'm going to make a motion, we table it and do the regular meeting first, which should take about 4.5 minutes, and then go back to the food truck, which will take a longer period of time.
Sounds good.
So moved?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Regular meeting, correspondence, waive the reading of it. Approval of the voucher list, $1,074,886.12. So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Setting of the meeting dates and public hearings, all meetings will be held at 1360 Route 22, Brewster, New York, at 7 p.m. unless otherwise noted. Thursday, February 4th, 2016, and Thursday, February 18th, 2016. So moved.
Second?
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Waive the reading of the budget transfers. Resolution special permit 278 North Bruce Road. I've been asked to table that this evening. I make a motion to table.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
We'll bring that next time. Resolution ARB recommendation, Brav Corp. LLC, 65 Fields Lane, formerly known as McNamara. Let me just get caught up here. Now therefore be resolved that the town board hereby accepts and approves the report of the Architectural Review Board dated November 19, 2015, a copy of which is annexed hereto and made part hereof in connection with Bravcor LLC, 65 Fields Lane, tax map 78.-2-15, and that such report shall be incorporated in any final site plan subsequent reviewed by the planning board. So move for discussion.
Second?
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, number 7, resolution is a bond resolution for an International 7500 truck. A bond resolution. A meeting of the town board of the town of Southeast Putnam, New York was convened in public session at the town of Southeast New York on the 21st day of January 2016 at 7:00 p.m. prevailing time. The meeting was called to order by Town Supervisor Tony Hay, and upon roll call, the following were present. Edwin Alvarez? Say yes.
Yes.
Robert Cullen?
Yes.
Lynn Eckhart?
Yes.
Elizabeth Hudak?
Yes.
And of course, myself mentioned earlier. Nobody was absent. Okay, now we have to go into the actual resolution. Will, because this is a bond resolution, does the entire thing?
I don't think you have to read it.
Pardon?
I don't think you have to read the entire thing.
Just
Are
the-
there certain decretal paragraphs at the end?
Okay, the money part. Okay, where's the money one? Okay, it's actually section 1. The subject, okay, resolved that the town board of Town Southeast, Putnam County, New York, be favorable vote not less than 3/5 of all members of the board as follows. Section 1, the specific object or purpose herein referred to as purpose to be financed is the acquisition of an International 7500 truck for the highway department. The estimated maximum cost of said purpose is $195,000. Section 2, the town board plans to finance the total cost of said purpose by issuance of serial bonds of the town in the amount not to exceed $195,000, hereby authorized to be issued therefore pursuant to local finance law. Good enough?
Yeah.
Okay, now just so everyone's aware, this is part of the plan that they've had here in the town for some time about replacement of vehicles, and this just basically conforms with the intent to stay within that plan. So move for discussion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
So the following resolution was offered by myself, Tony Hay, who moved its adoption, seconded by Ms. Hudak, to wit, and then approved. Thank you for that. And number 8 is a resolution to establish a bond, Fortune Ridge Barn, 139 Dean's Corner Road. Now therefore be resolved that the bond amount shall be established for the project set forth below. Project name, Fortune Ridge Barn, site improvements, $83,800, and be further resolved that its erosion and sediment is $10,100. Resolved that the certified copy of this resolution shall be transmitted by the town clerk to the planning board secretary and building inspector forthwith. So moved.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor? Aye. Okay, that basically will end the regular meeting, and now I make a motion to go back to the work session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Bob? It's your ball.
Okay, myself, Ashley Lay, or the planner for AKRF, and Peter Bell, a resident of the town. We've been looking into the possibility, feasibility of allowing food trucks that are associated with restaurants to operate in the town of Southeast at possibly different locations such as the train station. We went to some other communities, got some other, well, we didn't go there, but we got some other communities' rules and regulations such as Beacon. And we put together some things that we thought would be good for the town of Southeast that would not hurt existing brick and mortar restaurants that are already in business. And currently, there is one food truck that is operating at the Shell station on Route 22, and the owner is a veteran, so he's got a veteran's license, and that's why he's there. I think it's very successful. I ate off of the truck numerous times. Seems to have a good crowd there. People seem to like it. It's affiliated with Clock Tower Grill Restaurant. And I know they also operate at the Hudson Valley Cerebral Palsy farm market, Winter Farm Market. He's up there on Sundays, and people like it. I haven't heard anything bad about it. There is an interest by him and some other vendors of possibly being at the Southeast train station in the morning. I think that would provide a service to commuters who, you know, running to the train, that want to get a cup of coffee, a sandwich or something for the train ride down. So you guys all have some of my thoughts and Peter Bell's thoughts. So I want to see what everyone else thinks.
Okay, what we're gonna try to do tonight, because this has been in front of us numerous times, we have, basically what you have to do now, and we have all these questions, so let's get them answered, and hopefully for the next meeting, you can present it, and then we can have the public hearing.
Yep.
But we have to have something in writing put on the web for people to read. And it's not ready for prime time, so
No, not
tonight,
yet.
I think what we should do, I have a few photos I wanna show, and, I guess what I'll do is I'll show the photos first because it's gonna maybe help answer some of the questions about whether we want A or B review and things of that nature. As you did say, the veterans, there's some problems with the way some of these permits have been issued. We really never had a problem in the past. We've had, I would say, how many maximum veterans at one time? Was there 5, maybe at the max?
5,
At one point in time? And there was never a fee to the veterans, but right now, it's, a veteran may apply, but the veteran may be not the person selling what's there. So we have to say, if a person applies for the license, do we want the vendor who applies or whatever? So the veteran thing is right now a subject of a problem in the town. So let me just show you, just briefly, I hope. Now, some of these are quite humorous. Whoop. Don't even know my own password. And basically, it's food trucks. Now, there are comments in here, and the reason I'm showing that is I want people to, and the board to determine, you know, how much review, if any, do these food trucks require? And let me just show you some of them why there's a concern. Now, there's talk inside here that there's parking for 2 people. Now, Bob, you did supply one of these pictures. I don't know which way you get. It's gonna highlight it, but.
Okay.
But as you can see, there, you know, now this is in the city, whether it's White Plains or whatever, numerous food trucks. So that's the things that we have to determine, okay? Now, there's a food truck. Now, I'm concerned about the number of people that may attend at a food truck, okay? I go along the highways, you know, going to Carmel, there's a few, at least one that I know of, and there's more than 2 cars, so ours says 2. So I don't know, maybe you say a minimum of 2 if that's the thing. So that's something to be concerned about. Now, you're talking trash receptacle, the vehicle has to be moved. There's a menu board, which is not a problem. Now, this is something like, you know, signage. I mean, numerous regular businesses in town have major problems with signage. And then you have this here. So again, how much review does it get? That's a cute one. That's supposed to be a pig.
A flying pig.
I couldn't resist it. That was funny. Yeah, the Oscar Mayer Wiener one's not too bad. But again, there's people standing there, as you can see. But again, almost all these pictures have more than 2 people. So I'm concerned about how many people, how many vehicles we have to do that. Here's a good one. That looks like one I'd probably run, but.
Yeah.
So, you know, how much review? I mean, if a guy pulls up in a food truck like that, I mean, it's unsightly, and don't think that someone would not end up doing that at some point in time.
That's one of my.
That's yours? Okay, there's Bob's, okay? More than 2 people, but then again, that's down in the city, or, you know, we don't have any, you know, area like that in this town. Now, you also mentioned there's no tables, but I mean, you can see that food truck with all the writings on it and whatever. I mean, is there any review gonna be given to them or not? Now, this is the one that's of concern to me. Now, I'm coming up Route 22. I wonder how I can. Now, unfortunately, I hit 2 red lights.
Great.
And this is the existing one there. I don't know how I can stop this thing. I want to stop it right here, probably. Okay. Can everyone see it good enough?
Uh-huh.
I'd speed it up, but
That's okay.
I'd speed it up, but I'd screw it up. I know I would. So I hit 2 lights. And this was not planned. This was just one particular day. And this is my concern.
Tony?
No.
Could you just hold just for a second about that spot?
Which spot?
Right where you're at. That's the entrance to where the old golf.
Yeah, okay, you gotta come up here, you can't hear you. What does that have to do with what we're doing now?
Very specifically what it has to do with, hold on, let me get here. Peter Bell. I've talked to the owner of that particular property, the old golf dome. And there's a consideration by him to allow food trucks to go into that property and park beyond where the island is. So the food trucks would be back from the road, plus there's a traffic light there.
There's no problem with that, but that's not what we're discussing now.
Okay, I just wanted to point out that,
Okay, well, we
That's
can,
fine.
we can go back there when we get everyone together. That's not the purpose of what I'm trying to do right this second. Let's move it going forward. Let's smash. Uh-oh, hope he's not going too.
Looks like he's
He's speeding.
not observing that 35-mile-per-hour speed limit.
Okay. I hit one more light.
Nice to see.
I hope I have this silent, because I don't want you to hear what I say when this happens. Now, what you're gonna see now, we're gonna be coming up to where there's a food truck. And you're gonna see a garbage truck parked on the side of the road in Route 22, walking across right in front of my vehicle, going to that food truck. And it's a concern because, again, when you set these places up, where Peter Bell just mentioned, that's not gonna be the problem that you're gonna encounter, depending on where these food trucks are allowed to go. And don't forget, guys with tractor trailers like to eat too. I'm gonna try to stop it right, and I hope it works. See that guy right there? Okay. You see, on the right-hand side is the garbage truck. And you can see the white line, and he's probably 3 to 4 feet. And all of you travel Route 22, that's not the best thing.
Right, well, he's obviously parked illegally.
Well, I know, but that's what,
You know.
when you do this, you have to consider where they're gonna end up being. Where Peter Bell just mentioned, that will not be a problem. If they go, anywhere off the road, but look and see, if a tractor trailer, I have to admit, because as a matter of fact, I had to, Mike Palmer from Palmer Brothers up there, he's asked me, but it's a state road, there's nothing we can do. Even though they have signs there, no parking, trucks stop there, go into the, whether it's Dunkin' Donuts or the other place there, they park there, and then when people can't get out of his driveway, and he, as the owner of the shopping center, he doesn't want those trucks parked there. So, this just is not a good thing, okay? So I just want to point out to the fact that this can happen. So when we're discussing it, there's a lot that has to be taken into consideration, okay? So if there's 2 vehicles or whatever, so let's go through each one of these and see if we can address them, so you can put together something for the public to see what we do or don't want to do. So first thing, require the food trucks park on private property with sufficient number of parking spaces, 2 spaces per vendor, okay? So, they have to be on private property. Is 2 spaces enough?
Well, that would be the
Or say a
minimum.
minimum
right?
of 2 spaces.
Minimum.
Okay, so put minimum. Because whatever we write here tonight is what you're gonna have Will and yourself draft for the public, okay? So a minimum of 2 spaces. Require the food trucks park a minimum distance away from existing brick and mortar delis, restaurants, and other food service establishments, 500 feet, 1,000. Right now, the one code in the town of Southeast, you can't have 2 fast food restaurants within 1,000 feet of another.
Right,
So-
so make it 1,000.
Want to make it 1,000?
Yep, I'm fine.
1,000. Now, if the public wants to say something, just kind of raise your hand, and at the time we're doing it, and come over there then. So if you want to change 1,000, just tell us why.
We could go back to the first one for just a second. This is, food trucks on private property. The question becomes the property across from Home Depot, where the current Honey Guy is and the hot dog guy. That, I understand, is state property. Does that allow a food truck to park in there to sell food?
It's state property, I
Well,
can't answer. It's
I mean,
private,
it's up to the state, I
No.
guess, to say if they want
No,
them there or
state.
not.
state
It's a
road.
state highway.
It's,
And is it 1,000 feet from Applebee's?
Oh, well, I wouldn't consider Applebee's fast.
No, we're not talking about fast
No,
food, we're talking about
right.
near any brick and
Is it
mortar.
1,000? Well,
He
somebody
said
has to
existing
take-
brick and
some-
mortar restaurants and other food service establishments.
Okay, so,
Just, I'm,
is it 1,000? So, then do you want to make it 500? You tell me.
no, I think brick and mortar really deserves protection.
Well, they do, because they
That's
have
what I
all
feel.
these regulations. They can't have signs, they can't do this, they can't do that.
Well, it's a lot more expensive for them to run,
Yeah, big
to
time.
operate. so.
Taxes and whatever. So, would you,
Well, I was with the 500 or 1,000. I think to protect the brick and mortar restaurants, I think 1,000 feet
okay. So we-
is correct.
Yeah.
Okay, so we put 1,000. Okay. Now,
Peter, is that property you discussed, 1,000 feet away from Burger King?
Yeah,
It is?
yeah, because it's, if you know the property, it's got the island in the middle. and
well,
when
that's,
we're
I'd
talking-
have to take, it depends on how now, that's another thing we have to determine too, Will, with that, because I had proposed a fast food restaurant up there at one point in time myself, back in the 80s, when they first put that law in, it was 1,000 feet. And Burger King, I was 1,000 feet, just barely 1,000 feet to Red Rooster. So I don't think it is 1,000 feet.
It
Well, it
depends on
depends
where
how
you.
far in it
Yeah,
goes.
it depends
Well,
on where you
but
put
that's,
it within
but
there.
that's, so again, is it how the bird flies or property line? So that's something, hate to say it, but they went by property lines and I did it.
The other property I've been talking to the owner about is the old Brewster Flower Garden.
Yes.
and that's not even close to 1,000.
That's more than 1,000.
Well, we're talking about Burger King,
But
right?
not from,
Burger King to,
not from Red Rooster,
Yeah.
right?
and from Red Rooster. From, my property was to the left of where Burger King is at one point in time, back when. And from my property line to the Red Rooster property line was just 1,000 feet. It was just barely. Any rate, someone's gonna have to go out there and measure,
Sure.
okay?
And once again, though, is it from the property line or is it from the actual location
Building to
of the
building.
building? So
I
it's
think it should be building to building.
Yeah, I agree.
And I don't know who's gonna walk that little walker thing, but if it's 1,000, and we do it from building, location to location, not property line to property line. So why don't you put 1,000 feet, building to,
From building to building,
yeah,
location to
but it's not gonna be a
location.
building,
It
it's
is a
location to location.
For now, we can fine tune.
Will, is that a good word to use, location to location? Not, and then put not property line?
What does location mean?
Well, a hot dog truck is, what is it? I mean, it's not a building. Now, Burger King or another
Will
building
it be
or.
from the vehicle to a brick and mortar restaurant?
Okay,
or-
I guess where the
Okay,
vehicle would be
vehicle.
parked, right?
To the,
To brick and mortar.
right.
Okay, good. We're making good progress here now. Okay. Require the food trucks obtain a permit from the town clerk, of course. That's a must, okay? This type of,
And obviously, the health department would have to license them.
Yep.
Inspect them.
well, that's a given.
Right.
Now, one of the questions that someone had asked me, if we license a food truck, and I don't know this is a fact, do they have to be licensed by the county to be in business in the county?
Board of Health.
No, not the Board of Health, the county itself. When I had my own business, I had to register, come up to them here and speak if you would please, your name for the record as well?
Steve Moriali. Yeah, they do have to be licensed by the county,
Okay.
whichever county.
So As a
they're
business, in
gonna
other words,
be
it's Tony's Food Truck LLC, you have to register with the county as a business.
in Putnam County for Putnam County, Dutchess County for Dutchess County.
Mm-hmm.
Each county has, you have to be permitted in each county.
Okay, so not only are we licensed by the county to do business, you also have to be then licensed by the Department of Health to run and operate a food truck.
Correct.
Okay, so that's two things that they have to have. Thank you. So it requires a license by the county to operate?
Okay.
And
So
again,
that'd be
if they-
Consumer Affairs, I assume, or it's a
And
business
Michael,
license,
you
right?
go to the county clerk for
Oh,
that.
my- okay.
Licensed by the county to operate. You need a license by
Department
Putnam
of
County DOH. And whether we
Town
give a
clerk.
license or permit by the town. Those are the three requirements. Okay?
Yep.
Michelle, you writing these down too?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Did
'Cause
we
you're gonna
skip
be doing
over
it.
regulate hours of operation?
Well, wait.
Oh.
Is that in there? We're trying to go,
Well,
Which one are you- maybe
we're
I'll-
talking
Run
about that
through.
down later.
okay, now.
That we're getting to.
Yeah, we're gonna stick with the thing, Edwin. We'll get there.
Right. We're on
Um,
this page.
Annual permits will be granted by the town business residents for February 1st to the general public through December 31st. Now, I did read a proposal later on that you want to issue it twice a year.
Well, we thought, some businesses may only want to operate 6 months out of the year, not the full year. A lot of people may not want to
Operate in the winter.
operate exactly in the winter.
I don't think you're going to find many people are going to want to operate in the winter, but if they can, I would just suggest that we do it once a year. Only because then, is there going to be a fight, like, in other words, if they have permission to go somewhere, and again, if a person's making money, it's not going to matter, but one might have the wintertime, summertime. I think we should just give them once and just, again, this is not going to be a moneymaker for the town, okay? If it's a $100 permit, a $500 permit, and you're only going to allow 7 from what it says, and you may want to change that, it depends, that's $3,500 a year. So it's not for the money, it's just to keep organization and things running smoothly, hopefully. So,
The only thing with that one is that, for the first year, it's gonna be different. Because we're not gonna be ready, we're certainly not ready by January 1st, so it's the first 30 days of the first year. So let's say that this gets passed on February 1st. From February 1st to February 28th, residents and business owners in the town, and then as of March 1st, it's open to other individuals. It's just that we passed the January 1st deadline.
okay, well, wait, okay.
The thought is
Means
we'd like to
appropriate.
give priority to established
But
businesses.
the permit will be for a year,
Correct.
regardless. In other words, if they
December
come in,
31st, no.
April, to the end of the year. They're gonna pay whatever the permit is, it's for the, they're not gonna get a calendar year, they're gonna get a calendar year,
Yeah.
not,
It doesn't necessarily have to be January 1st. It
No.
could be
Well, what the
April
thing
1st
is,
or-
what was it, did we get to what the purpose was?
It's the first 30 days is for the residents and
Is that-
business owners in the
Is
city,
that
in
on
the
this
town.
one we're talking about right this second?
As far as what the,
That, what he's mentioned, I don't see it, right, I'm trying to go through each one as we have it.
yeah.
Permits will be for 6 months.
Annual
removal
permits will be granted to Town of Southeast business residents
After
first,
February 1st.
after February 1st, available to the general public. So it would be, if we were going to do a January 1st permit,
Okay,
it would be the
fine,
first.
whatever it
31.
is, we'll make
Right.
it whatever. But we're not gonna issue twice a year, we're gonna issue once a year. Is
Mm-hmm.
that agreeable?
Yeah.
Once a year. And there's no, if they come in for 6 months, they pay the fee. I mean, we're not gonna start prorating, it's not, again, not worth it.
So, so,
If someone comes in April
yeah.
this year,
Mhm.
we're not gonna say, oh, you only have, 9 more, 7 more, 8 more months. We're not gonna start prorating, the difference. Here's what it is.
Okay, so annual permits, so if, after February 1st, available to the general public, is there a cutoff date after February 1st through which there'll be no more permits, or this is something
Well,
that,
that's, no more permits, depending on how many they wanna
Right.
issue.
let's say there's 4 on February 28th. Can the other 3 be issued after February 28th?
Yes.
So
they
it can be
come
just
in
all
any-
year round?
And
Yep.
it could be anybody after February 28th.
If they wanna come in February 28th and pay for the year of the.
So regardless of when it's issued, they pay for an entire year?
Yes. I will give a discount though after 6 months, though. I think that would kind of be fair. But we're not gonna, if someone comes into 6 months in June or July, charge them just half a year. They either pay for a year or the half a year.
So we had discussed.
So
Bob and I-
after June, in other words, after June, it's a half, after July 1st, it's a half a year.
And we had said 500 for the year, 250 for 6 months.
Yeah, but
And that's
well,
just
that's
the
gonna be,
number
that
we-
would be it.
Yeah.
That would be it, okay. But that's not the intent. We don't want someone pulling a permit just for 6 months. It's for the year.
Yeah.
I think the thought was, like the winter time, a lot of people may not, why charge someone if they're not going to use it, but.
Well, so.
But it depends
But no one
what-
will use it, so then you have seven people at $250 each.
Yeah.
Be $1,450. You told me I was gonna make $1 million on this deal. I'm not
I don't
making
know
that
about
yet. Okay. Okay. So it'll be for a year, after, half the time, one half, they pay half the price. If they come in September, they pay till the end of the year, for the full, for 6 months. Okay? Now, how many do we want to grant? Now, if what Peter just mentioned, you might have 5 that want to go into that area. It leaves up a whole bunch of other areas if you want it.
Well,
So
just
you-
remember that the individual property owner too can limit how many they want.
No, but we're controlling the number now. He can't put 100 there if we have 7.
Tony,
Right.
I feel that if this does pass or go through, that a lesser number, whether it's 7 is fine, but we can always increase it.
Down the line,
If it's successful and we don't have problems, we could increase it later. I just would hate to see us grant 20 or something
So,
and have it a
so you're gonna
real,
leave 7.
I would for the first, I
Okay.
mean, we can
So we just
increase
leave
it.
it at
I don't know
7?
how everyone else feels,
No,
but,
I'm
Okay, 7.
logical, yeah.
right, unless
7,
someone feels
for now.
less, but
Yeah, let's start low, little, and see how it goes, and then we could always
lucky
adjust
number
it.
7.
Now, permits will be 6 months, we're not doing that, $100, $20. Veterans are exempt from any permit for operating food trucks. Now, here's where I have a huge problem,
Or issue, yes.
big, okay? If a veteran's pulling a permit, and there's some things that just aren't right the way they get done. If a veteran pulls that permit, the veteran operates the truck. I mean, people for $250 will do weird things, okay? I don't want second and third generation people operating a food truck to save $250. So if a veteran pulls a permit and he's operating the truck, if not, he pays $250 and he can let anyone operate his truck.
So we
or
could
truck.
say if a veteran pulls it, the veteran has to be,
He's an
there.
operator,
He has to be the
he
owner
has to be the
operator.
owner operator.
If not, just take a regular permit for $250, forget your veteran status, because again, third generation just doesn't fly. A father might be the veteran, his son has a business, and then he lets someone else run the truck for him during the day. Pay the $250 and get over it. Don't pull veteran status. But if a veteran truly is gonna operate the business, he pulls it under his name, and he's the one that that would do it. And we'll get into the fact that they have to have ID cards, et cetera,
Right.
later on, okay?
And we can make them up ourselves.
So veterans are exempt from any permit operating food trucks, providing they are the ones operating the
Operating.
food.
That's
That good,
fine.
Peter?
Veterans as owner-operators.
Are you here for anything in particular?
Yes, yes.
Which one? We're done.
Done.
It's approved.
Denied.
Yes.
Denied.
We went backwards tonight because
Sorry.
yours was, again, you know, you ready?
We didn't want to hold you up, so.
Okay. I mean, Rick O'Rourke was here. We took him into consideration first. You were here, you've been second.
Yep.
Okay, good luck. Okay. Now, so we have that stipulation. I don't think, it should, I'm not looking to fine a person. I mean, it's veteran. What do we do? There's no need to play games. I mean, either pay $250 to operate a food truck and
Well,
don't,
if they have an expired permit, or you know, whatever, I don't know.
well,
You
how
need
can
to
you
have,
have, we do it once a year.
right, well, if they
We're gonna
forget
send
to
out
do it,
notices?
or somebody comes in who never got a license, who just pulls in one day and,
Okay, so violations.
Well, wait, technically too, are we now limiting food trucks for veterans, or are they still,
They're part of,
they'd be part, so they
Part of
would, we
seven.
wouldn't have an unlimited,
no, we're given
does
7.
that, do we have
Well,
that
you
codified?
really,
Do we have
you
to-
really do have an unlimited number of veterans if they
because
want to
veterans,
do
you
it.
can't stop.
Because they're
That's what I
exempt from
mean,
the
that's
law.
what I'm
Right,
asking.
they're exempt.
They're
Veterans are
exempt,
exempt.
Yeah,
From what?
from the town law.
yeah.
That's
By
not,
state-
that's
But we're
not
changing the
entirely
law.
accurate.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's not entirely accurate. There's a state law that permits disabled veterans to use state thoroughfares. And
Oh, so-
that's been sort of,
Okay.
I think expanded in this town to mean, oh yeah, you can, if you're a veteran, you can have it anywhere. That's not really what the law says.
Okay.
Our law says basically no one can solicit or vend in the town. And it's been expanded to allow, veterans, but it was originally intended to be disabled veterans. So,
Okay,
that's in a nutshell.
So if a veteran pulls the permit, the veteran operates it.
Right.
So do we fine them if they're caught, and then what happens? So that's the question that has been written in here.
Or just tell them they have to pay the permit fee. The problem is if there's no permits left.
Is permits what?
If there's none left, if we've already given out
Yeah,
7.
that's, I'm just not clear
Some
that,
random food truck guy can come into town and operate without having a permit, or we already have the
Well, if he
maximum
hasn't
number.
followed, if he hasn't
So-
followed the rules and
Right,
regulations,
but then
he
he should
can't
be
do it.
subject, but that's what, subject to a fine then. That's what we're saying.
And now it says if a permit holder is found in violation, how many
Well-
violations? That, we're talking about a permit holder. If a person's operating a food truck, he's in violation of the law, period.
Right.
So,
Well, that's true, but,
so let's deal with the first one first.
right.
If a permit holder is found in violation, now the only one who could be found in violation would be a veteran, because everyone else would have paid, hopefully they're $250.
Right.
So, is it a $100 fine? And what happens if they continue to just
I
thumb their
think you
nose at
do
the
an
law?
escalating fine. You don't want people just to,
Okay.
But
you know,
it could be like if you don't have the garbage can, you
Yeah.
know, set up. Or if
I'm
you don't,
just a little confused. You just said now, so everyone is going to be a permit holder? Are you saying veterans wouldn't be a permit holder?
They would be a permit holder,
Okay, so then a veteran will be a permit holder, will be one of the 7 permits.
yes.
Okay.
Unless you want to change, but I mean, if there's 7, there's 7.
Right.
If you want
Okay.
7 plus as
veterans
many
get-
veterans that want
but
to
at
do
least
it.
from what Will's saying, if you're a disabled veteran,
right.
they don't need a permit, Will? They
If
can
they're,
just,
if they're operating within the state thoroughfare.
State,
on the state thoroughfare.
that's like the Home Depot outside there.
possibly. I don't know if he's a disabled vet, though. Don't know.
Well, we haven't asked, I mean, we don't.
No, I mean, we're setting up
Saying without
guidelines,
on
and the
Route 6.
guidelines will have to fly. Okay, so, it's $100 escalating each time. Next time it's 200?
I mean, we just,
Why
yeah,
don't we just
whatever.
revoke the permit?
Say it again?
Well, you gotta give people.
Well, the third,
time,
I think the
too.
third time you revoke.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
So it's 100,
Times.
100, then
200,
200, and revoke.
and revocation.
Okay. For like at least.
Could we go back one paragraph when you're done with that?
Which one?
About a secondary permit for town and municipal property? The
A
last
second-
one on the
what
first
do you
page.
mean by a second, what is a secondary?
I think, well,
So if they
So-
wanna operate on
right, in other
the
words,
southeast train station.
Well, wait, time out. A secondary permit, why is it secondary?
Let's say that you.
You want a second permit?
No, let's say you wanted to operate in Tenetta Lake,
And
on town property.
he has to get a permit.
First place you have to have is a regular permit.
And then a second.
Now a second permit for the town to allow him to operate on the town property.
Which
That's
will
what we're
cost
talking
them an
about here.
additional sum of $100 a month or
I don't,
$20 a
no,
day.
that's not, that would not, I don't read that as the intent. If they're gonna operate at the town park, they were operated at the town park. That's the one they choose. We can say yea or nay to it. It's our property.
All right, well, see, that goes back to the idea of the private property in the first paragraph. That's why we did it that way.
Okay, for private property, if someone wants to operate a food truck at one of our parks, okay, we tell them, yes, you can
Well, they
operate
have
at
to
that.
ask
But can they
our
have more
permission.
than, can they have multiple locations? That's the question that's gonna come up next.
Well, one truck, one permit. So no matter what you do, there's only 7 trucks.
Okay, but what if a truck wants to go to 4 different locations? They wanna operate at this train station, they wanna operate at the 312, and they wanna operate at the ball game at such and such a field.
There's many times in food trucks now with social media that, I'm talking about New York City or a big city like that, food trucks don't stay in one place. They go from location to location, and through social media, Facebook, Twitter, whatever, they tell their customers where they're gonna be. And by the time the food truck gets there, there's lines of people waiting for those food trucks. In my opinion, the food truck can operate anywhere which is safe, has, you know, the.
Without identifying the location.
Well, it says approved by the Southeast Code Enforcement Officer.
Yeah,
So the food truck
if
operator
one
must.
guy says there's 4 different locations that I'm gonna be going to, one I'm going for breakfast, one I'm going for lunch, and one I'm going for dinner, that those 3 locations have to be approved. But he doesn't have to be in all 3 at once.
And he doesn't have to remain in any of them for
So
the
in
whole
other
day.
words, we'd have
Right.
approved locations throughout the
Pre-approved
town,
locations.
pre-approved throughout the town.
For that person?
That one person would come
No,
in,
it
yes.
would be for anyone then,
No,
is
no,
what you're
no,
saying,
that's
correct?
not true, no,
The
time out.
location
Okay, that's
itself
what,
would
but that's
be
what
approved.
Peter said.
But would it have to be approved for the specific truck operator, or could it be approved so that many truck operators can go there? Because I think that would be kind of, I could just see people jockeying, you know,
Yeah.
there's 3 trucks, you know, rushing for the same spot.
If, again, I don't know how the ones that are located on state property got whatever their permits are. We'll have to look into find out how. Again, if someone wanted to go to the town park, like they want to do the swimming at the park where they swim, and at night they want to go to the Little League here, that person then would sign up for this location, this location. Because then if not, there'd be another vehicle there, and that's not what we want. So, can they sign up for multiple? If they can show a schedule, I don't have a problem with having more than one location.
But that
But they have
location,
to identify the location.
Beforehand.
and it has to
and-
be approved by the
and be
Southeast.
approved.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, they
So
can't
they-
just randomly say, oh, I'm gonna try parking here on.
But they have to do it
Right.
again with the property owner's permission as well. Of
course.
So they'd have to provide us with a letter from the property owner or from the town of Southeast. Of course, if we gave the permit, then they must have had our permission, we wouldn't have given them. So they have to have the property owner's permission. In this case, the town of Southeast would just, the clerk, you know, will approve it, yes, you can go here, because it's first come, first served, veterans first, whatever. So they could have 3 locations, yes. But then they're locking that up. Now, if they're gonna, you can't be in 3 locations, like at the train station, what's the best time to go? Probably 5 o'clock in the morning to 7, or maybe 8 o'clock, okay? And then after that, they may wanna go to the, where the swimming is, you know, in the summertime,
Right.
okay? They wanna go there. And by nighttime, they wanna go to the Little League field, and then there's a night game where the lights are, and they wanna go there. The person could truly wanna go to 4
Yeah, but
locations.
who's gonna choose, you know, in other words, so this, let's make believe hypothetically, the first applicant online on January 2nd at 9:00 a.m. walks through the door and says, I want to be in these prime locations. Okay, that's where my truck's gonna be. So now, poor number 2 just didn't make it in time, so now number 2 is locked out of that. Number 2 might say, no, wait a second, how come, you know, those are
But
the
that's why
prime.
they have to give times when they're gonna be there.
Yeah.
You can't be in 2 places
I
at
don't know,
once.
it's gonna
Holy
be-
cow.
I think maybe you get one spot at a time.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
getting a little
telling you,
more-
this is.
Well, then, but you're the
that's-
one, but you have a person that wants to
No,
go.
but what Liz is saying, you
I know
can't
what
have
she's
one
saying.
person camp out in front of town hall on New Year's weekend and then come in.
So
for-
how
You
do
want
we-
to kind of
So
spread
how do
the,
we do, what do we do?
well,
Yeah, that's what
Okay,
we're-
so,
you get one spot and then, I don't know, I mean.
well,
you
you,
get-
but you, I was brought to me, you even mentioned, if a person wants to go to another location, what do we do then?
It's like the
I'm not in
NFL
favor of this whole
draft.
thing, believe it or not, because we've had, not great success, but it's worked fine since forever.
Why
And
not?
what the process is, it's been veterans until recently when they started
Well,
cheating.
because the veterans have mainly been selling like hot dogs and stuff.
Who? What?
Veterans have mainly been having hot dog trucks. Now we're getting more sophisticated with trucks, which is associated with restaurants and not something an average person would be selling.
Fine. Okay, so now we're changing it.
Right, so that's why it's changing. right.
Okay. So what do we do now? One location, again, you have a person that wanted to go to more than one location. What are you gonna tell that person? You either pick this one or that one.
Yeah, well, one location maybe during the first 30-day period, and then like after February 1st, if, let's just pretend we only gave out 3 permits in the month of January and there's still 4 left, then they can apply for another one.
Because this is
for a
getting
second
more and more
one.
complicated by the, every word we speak, it gets more and more complicated. And that's why things have been working really well for a long, long time. So, did you want to say something, sir?
Yes, you give all the
Name
permit
for
to
the
me.
record, if you
Hi,
don't-
my name is Terry Danvin. I'm the owner of Brewster Pastry down the street. And you give all the permit to me, and that's it. The solution is over.
Not a bad.
No, I'm
Are you a veteran?
not yet.
Then we'll
Better
take
in a
it.
pastry.
Yes. I own the bakery for 10 years with Southeast. No problem. We're doing good. I would like to expand. Why not expand in Putnam? I will be interested to put something for breakfast because my bakery breakfast, the top, in a train station in Southeast. Like you say, it's going to be maybe, I'm sure many people who would like to have that spot. And it's going to be a problem to see who's going to have
Yeah.
the right to be there. I don't know how you go to.
Well, first of all, you're
Figure
gonna have
it
to get
out.
permission from the MTA, and the last I knew, they weren't giving out that permission. People have operated there without their consent.
Mhm.
Okay? So we'd have nothing to do with the MTA's lot. Someone would have to approach the MTA, come to us with a bona fide letter. Of course, on that, we would check it out to make sure that whoever issued the letter is authorized to have done such. Then they could operate at the train station.
If the MTA say yes to a permit, whatever it is, you have to approve it too, or MTA, because a private lot
Yes, we would
can
have to approve
control
it
the,
because
let's say it's on you, and that's it.
we're
the town.
licensed, not licensed, we're gonna either register you or license, whatever the word's gonna
Yeah.
be. You're gonna get a permit from the town to be there, providing you show us proof that you can be there. You have to, again, you have to have the Department of Health approve.
Yeah, I got all my permit. I'm already in Brewster Farmer Market twice a week during the season. I'm already right there. I have all my permit and everything. It's just to know if the MTA
Now, when
approve
you
it.
say the farmer's market, are you selling?
Village.
Yeah, the village.
Oh, the village.
Yes.
Well, what are you selling?
All the baked goods, what I make in the bakery. Bread, croissant, Danish, coffee. I do other farmer market. I'm in Connecticut also, where I do all full line of breakfast with coffee and everything like what kind of the train station will need.
Okay, so we wouldn't license in the village of Brewster, nor would you have to be licensed, because you're not within our jurisdiction there.
No,
So
it
you-
just, I think.
He's just saying.
No, no.
I got all the permits because I'm a caterer. I have a permit not just for the bakery. The health department
Do
helped
you have a
me.
separate, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
The license or whatever you have from the county, do you operate on this license that you have for your business here? Or is it a separate one to go from spot to spot?
Every place I go, you have to show your liability and
I know, but-
workman's comp plus the permit. And the permit, most of it is by the health department. They're the
You
one.
have, in your business up there.
In the
you-
bakery.
And you, when the person comes in, you have the health department plaque
Yes.
right there for that establishment.
For me, and I have another permit for the place where I am over there.
And, okay, so but you have one there and you have one here. So you have
Yes,
two
correct.
permits from Putnam County.
Yes,
Now, the business permit that you have that allows you to operate here as Terry's Frenchie's Place, okay?
yes,
That's you, okay?
Yes.
Do you have that in your food truck?
yes. Because
Is
they
it the
want
same name or a different name?
same name. I use my same corporation. If I understand what you say, I'm trying to understand what the.
Yeah, he operates it under the corporation. That's-
Yes, the bakery operate with the name of the bakery in the town. I try to speak English, not bad, but
Yeah, it's not, you believe me, it's not, yeah.
I failed French. I'm
You're
just
fine,
jealous,
it's
that's
if not, I can try in French.
all. And
Maybe
your food is good, so don't get me wrong.
No,
I don't like it as much as you do, though. But-
but I have to test it to make sure it's good.
Okay,
That I know what you buy.
okay.
Bon.
So,
But the main thing, I'm interested with the town of Southeast train station. That's what will be my main, or the corner of a Home Depot where is the honey guys who is there.
And
will
that
be,
is not within our
yeah,
jurisdiction either.
that is why I just learned a few things tonight. How you proceed is not easy because it's very complicated the
You know,
way.
I'm thinking it might not be that because you would have to go to a private property owner and say, I would like to locate my truck on your private property. So right away, that private property owner is gonna say, I don't know if I want the pig truck there or the, you know, the other truck. So the bottom line would be, I think we already have that someone's gonna make a choice. I think the difference is if you and the other truck and another truck go to the private property owner and say, we'd like to do that, then, you know, it's not gonna be us that's going to select who's there. It would be the private property owner.
We
who would
pay
say,
him
"Well,
little
I'd
more
rather
at
have your
that."
truck right.
But if we're talking about like the Southeast train station,
Now, that would be different.
that,
Well, the Southeast
We
train
don't have any,
station is
we don't have any
MTA.
jurisdiction.
well, according to the clock tower guy, Rich Parente, he said he spoke to someone at the MTA and they said they have to get permission from us that
We
they
don't
don't
own,
have.
it's not ours.
Well, we do.
No, the
The
parking,
main
the
part.
parking is ours, but the liability of that is not within the town. The MTA would have to give that permission. And if they
Well, we
send a
gotta-
letter,
we gotta verify
let's put it this
that,
way,
right.
if the MTA sends a town letter and says, if you want a food truck there, you put one there, then we can do it.
Can I
But
say-
until
can I
that
say something?
time, it's the MTA that gives that approval, not us.
Every market I go, even Brewster or Danbury or New Milford, and the Chess County, every single market asks me for liability on my name, my business. I mean, every property I go, they discharge themselves, and I have to have my own proof that I have $1 million.
You would be
everything.
asked here in the town to list us as, I'm gonna ask.
Yes,
that-
that's what they want every
You'll
time
be-
I
You'll be
go.
the additional insured on the policy in case something happens. 'cause we're licensed.
I have to provide, before get any permit from the, let's say in Danbury, I go to the health department, get all the permit, and after you go in the town to get the permit, and they want, like you just say, their name on the liability, I have to talk to my
Additional
assurance
insured.
guys, pay another extra fee, because now I have to change from one, I'm going Dutchess, I have to get that for Stormville, I have to get that for Brewster. Every time I change, now I pay the assurance guys more, because you have to switch everything, because everybody have a different name.
Okay,
I
you know
don't know
what,
if that's part of your, if I do it, now who's going to give the answer, the MTA or the town?
Well, but they're gonna have to tell us that that's our responsibility, and I don't believe it is, but they wanna give it to us, then first.
Question two, because you have more contact than I do. I'm sure you know MTA more than we do, who to talk
I'd rather
to.
them let us continue our parking there and making money than worried about a food truck for $250, but.
But could you have a contact? that
You
the
can talk
MTA
with
that-
somebody and help
Well,
us to figure it out what to do. If we have to
yes.
approach them, or you have to approach them, that you say, guys, here's the person you
Okay,
talk to,
I will do that.
that would be nice.
I will send a letter,
Cool.
or I'll call first and then, or an email to them asking the question.
And if
share
you
it
want to
with them.
translate in French, I can put in French too. Maybe they understand.
So
Now-
let's just say that the MTA says, we don't care, it's up to the town of Southeast. So now the problem though
One
for us
person.
is,
Who
That's
can-
why,
who
how
can-
you go
who
to
do we
choose.
pick?
Highest
you know?
bidder.
We play lotto.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
we
what
go
you'd have
by
to
a
do a
lottery,
lottery.
or we could do odd, you know,
Well, veteran-
someone's got
veteran would
Monday,
be first.
Wednesday,
The
Friday.
veteran has the first 30 days. Okay?
But even
May I-
what
I
when
make a
you say the
suggestion?
veteran and the business
You know what?
of the Southeast.
Will has a
It says right here.
suggestion.
May I make a suggestion
Yes.
that you would put something like that out for an RFP? And a request for proposal.
For,
For a
For
food truck at the train station.
The ability to have that vehicle or food vendor on, which is the town has a management agreement for that parking lot.
okay. Are we gonna get more money for that, or are we gonna just leave it at 250?
Would be an RFP.
You would get more money for it. I mean, they'd have to have a permit, plus if they want a prime location, you'd put it out for RFP, so people would bid on it.
Huh, okay.
I mean, we will have to bid, if I understand good, we will have to bid like a project, who's get the higher bid, who go to get the spot.
This is getting crazy.
That's for,
that's how
it's not
they-
like we're
that's how they
selling
do it
million
with
of dollar, we
vending
just make a
machines.
living, I go to hire two guys, 2 person for 5 hours, and if we have to pay thousands of dollars, I mean,
Right.
the project is not really making profit for
Right.
us, no tax for you, because we pay the tax and all that. I mean, it's just to enrich my business, I want to expand here. If it don't work, I will you know.
Okay, we're gonna save some of this for.
The problem you're gonna run into is the fact that you're gonna have multiple vendors that want that prime location. And
Or
you-
312, or wherever, but again, it's MTA may be ours, maybe the MTA. The one at 312, I don't know how they got permission
On
to be
the
there,
cross Europe depot, is that what you want? Yeah, okay.
so, okay.
They might have just showed up there and nobody says
Just said
anything,
anything, yeah.
and, you know, that's.
I mean,
Okay,
I
let's-
think Liz's point is well taken. We don't have to establish where people can go unless it's town property,
Right.
because otherwise it's private
And
property.
they're
and they have to-
trespassing if they.
So,
Right.
okay, so if one vendor, so if a property owner wants to have 4 vending trucks on his property, that's 4 of the 7.
Right, but if, I mean, depending on, it has to be inspected, it has to
I
be
know.
safe, right.
Well,
Okay.
that also raises other questions. You have,
There's too many
say you have the Shell station, which currently has 1 truck. This is not there all the time. What if that particular landowner wants to have 3 trucks in there?
He
Well,
could-
that wouldn't pass
Well, he wouldn't,
inspections
right.
because of,
Well,
Not
what's the
enough parking spaces.
well, yeah. I
Well,
mean,
there are.
Well, not big, well, not,
And then here's another thing why we're talking about that. I mean, I tell you, what we had before was much better than what we're doing now. But anyway, if you have a location such as that, okay, all these, like, I don't want to pick on a particular XYZ station, okay? They had to go through a site plan approval. When they went through the site plan approval, they had to do this, that, signage and whatever. They have renting trucks, they park taxi cabs, and they do food inside, they have gas. That site plan's already been approved.
Right.
Now, we have to really go back to their site plan, does it allow for that to be there? Because they can't take up a loading zone space, that's not what it was approved for.
Or a
I mean,
fire.
all these other businesses out there have pre-approved approvals from the zoning board of appeals, and the this one, and the that one. I mean, how complicated does it get? So, if a person has, and again, whether it's that station or any station, let's use the one over by you, the mobile station, okay, there's nothing there yet. Now, they sell food inside, and they barely have enough space for everything they do, because they wanted to put a drive in there, no, you couldn't do it. So they went through all that there. 10 to 1, if they put a hot dog truck there, oh, we can park some, and they park them here, but they're parked in the loading zone. So if they go to a pre-existing building location, we'd have to look at their site plan to see if it was approved for the space. And I bet you 100 to 1 is gonna come back 90% of the time, no.
Right.
So what happens then? Now, we're overlooking that. And that's when some of these questions about what review did they get? I mean, man, the guy just wants to sell a hot dog on the side of the road, and look what we're doing. I mean, it's really crazy. And again, we have not had a problem until recently. So, we'll continue. Let us continue, because we got a lot of questions that we want to bring to the public for the public comment.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, will there be no outside seating allowed at a food truck? Is that no seating?
well, that's kind of what we thought, yeah, that way people wouldn't be there.
No seating. Michelle, I hope you're taking really good notes.
That way people will get the food and leave.
Okay, well, okay, but they might sit in their car,
Well, they- right, they could,
or they'll park on the side of Route 22 and walk over. Okay, regulate the hours of operation. Waste disposal and signage for food truck hours of operation would be from 5 AM to 9 PM.
Well, we were thinking more like the train station would start around.
I don't have a problem with that either. The guy can be there
Right.
24 hours as far as I'm
Oh.
concerned, but, you know,
Yeah, I mean-
do we want to limit the hours? What do we care? If the owner of the property wants them there, what do we
And
care?
and this is limited to commercial properties,
Right, it
correct?
would have to be commercial
Yeah.
properties, right.
Okay,
I mean, I don't know, I mean, if the board thinks, you know, not limiting hours is fine, that's.
now, I like
Yeah.
an overnight parking, that has to remain,
Right.
okay? So what about hours? I don't think we should limit the hours.
Well, the only thing is, if it's no limit, then it's basically, they could be there all night, then they could be there forever.
Right, then
Right.
You don't
Well,
want
if
to 24
they're,
hours.
parking
if they're open though, you can't park your truck overnight, there better be someone operating it.
But if
If
somebody
you want-
decides to be there 24
So,
hours
okay,
and
so
has
the
different
five,
shifts
so
of
the
people.
hours are from 5 to 9, and
Yeah,
then they
I-
have to move, so the
I
purpose
think
of
we
the
start
hours is,
small and then.
Yeah.
the
right.
purpose of the hours is to make sure that the vehicle leaves.
Right,
Okay, so we leave
exactly,
5 to 9,
right.
okay.
Especially if some of our commercial areas do border residential.
Okay, so 5 to 9 and no parking overnight, that's the purpose of 5 to 9, not how long they can actually operate. So if they want to go there at 4 o'clock, they could open at 4 o'clock if they chose? No, they still can't open before 5.
Well, I
Train
don't-
station gets busy early.
Yeah,
okay.
not that early. not
Okay, 5 to 9. Moved at the end of the day, all signage must be removed from the truck, is removed from the site, trash receptacles provided, not be allowed over the flow, and emptied, removed at the end of the day. That's not a problem, easy enough, okay? Let me ask you a question, is ice cream trucks gonna be considered a food truck?
That is a food truck.
Ice cream trucks,
But
gotta add
it
that.
doesn't have a specific spot. If you're talking about the good humor guy or one of those that drives around to all the different neighborhoods, that's not this.
I don't think we
Well, he's
have,
currently illegal.
right,
that's-
that's
If there is a
illegal.
guy that's doing that,
Yeah.
that's.
But if a person wants to have an ice cream truck, he can have an ice cream
In a
truck.
particular location,
But it sits
absolutely.
there.
He's one of 7,
Sure.
Yes.
okay, he can't
Yeah.
move, he can sit there. So an ice cream
Absolutely.
truck is
Right.
considered
Right, I mean,
into this
for-
zoning,
Right.
but they can't
Right.
move around town. Okay. Now, here's a whole bunch of ones. 2 spaces for vendors, we did. Minimum distance, we did. Hours, we did. Trash receptacles, food trucks that obtain a permit from the town clerk, we did. Permit may include restrictions to zoning districts or neighborhoods when the truck where it can park. The permit may include restrictions on the zoning districts or neighborhoods within the town where they can park. So so it has to be commercial,
Right,
Commercial.
commercial zone. yes.
Definitely.
commercial zone.
So private property in a commercial zone, not necessarily commercial property in a commercial zone.
Yes, that would be fine, yes, because it's in a commercial zone.
Okay.
Permits granted to the town permits residents first only. Well, we already discussed how that's gonna work,
Yeah.
okay? No more than 7 permits, done. Permits will be for 6 months, we've changed that, okay? Just food trucks, the answer is yes, just food trucks, we don't want furniture
No,
trucks,
No,
whatever.
no,
Food,
no.
What areas of town are suitable? No, that's what, I'm just reading
Okay.
what they had asked. Furniture, well, people come here on the weekends, set up shop on the side of the road and start selling furniture.
Well, that.
That's why the light-
Yeah.
Well,
No, we don't want,
they used to
that's
do
not
that.
what, no,
Unless
no.
people eat furniture.
Got a couple big dogs that might want some. Okay, just food trucks, the answer is yes. What areas of town are suitable, that's, it's not even, it's not for us to make the decision, so I'm just crossing that one off. Metro North, we just resolved that, I'll find out for you. Allowed in residential or commercial, that's just commercial property. How do we choose? First come, first served, is that what we're doing?
Yep.
Or it may go to an RFP, as Will said, that's something that has to be
Or it may
decided.
go
Right.
through a lottery if,
Lottery?
I mean,
Okay.
I would, those are just suggestions for now.
Yeah, I mean, if, right. worst
Okay,
comes
so
to
we'll
worst,
leave that, we'll put lottery or RFP. Now, again, if a person wants to go to XYZ building, and the owner says yes, okay? He's got it, because he went to the owner, he got it. Now, someone can say, how much is he paying? Oh, he's not giving me a dime. Oh, I'll give you $100 for it. Then we
That's
get
how the
into
free
what Will,
enterprise system works tonight.
well, that's up to him to decide to tell us. We don't actually pick the locations. Do they change each year? That's up to the people who, again, if this gentleman gets the MTA first, because he asked first, does he get it next year?
That's the idea of the lottery, though,
Right.
I
And
think.
maybe-
Well, yeah, but is the lottery good for 1 year? Is it good for every
Yeah.
drawing for the rest
Yeah,
of
it
your
would be-
life?
Yeah, no, just 1 year.
Every year,
Every year.
every year,
Everyone
okay.
new license.
Change each year?
And
Okay, so
I really-
lottery
yeah.
each year for a hot spot. What is the town going to issue? License or permit? What's the word we're gonna call it? I would say permit, Will?
It'd be a permit unless you're licensing that be on your property.
Okay, so if it's on our property, it's a license? If it's town property, it will be a license?
Correct.
Okay, license is town property. And if it's not on town property, we're gonna permit them?
Right, permitting.
And
it
what would
up.
be
They
the,
would have a vendor's permit, but they would also have to provide proof that they have permission to be on that particular piece of property.
okay, can you just explain to me why we license and the other ones gets a permit?
License there's a different connotation to license and permit.
Okay,
Permitting, we're issuing permits to operate in the town. License, we're licensing to be on our property.
okay. Thank you. All license or permit holders shall be required to obtain a town-issued photo ID that should be displayed at all times, and I agree. Now, permit holders, that's themselves. Now, do we require the people that are actually, they're, in other words, Mr. Bill pulls the permit, but he's not gonna be in it, he's gonna have me run it, because I can sell more hot dogs than he can. So, do I have to be have a photo ID to allow me to be there?
Yeah, I would think any employee should have one.
So, plus
So whoever's gonna
employees.
be working in the truck has to have a photo ID from the town.
Okay, is that, Peter, is your thoughts?
Yeah,
Yes?
absolutely. It
Plus-
just gives the feeling of confidence to people to walk up to the food truck too, to see that, you know, there's a person with a name that,
Okay.
whatever that ID might be, gives them more confidence than not having something.
Okay, we already discussed about veterans having first right to do that. We'll have to work on the wording before it goes out.
Now, this one, January 1 to the last day of February, and said permit, so what does that mean?
January 1st to the last day of February, that's for the 30-day,
Well, that's 60 days.
yeah, but
So it's a
it
little
was
under
60 days at
58.
one point, in time. Now we changed it to 30, but we said 30 days.
Yeah.
So that would change that, that's why we're double checking.
Okay.
That's 30 days,
So it's January 1 to the January 31st.
31st. And then it's opened up to people outside of Southeast.
Yeah.
I mean, veterans
So as
first.
of Feb. 1,
Was it, wait, when, I have to look at the dates. Veterans get first option. Southeast residents, when does it, 60 days is after, is 60 days for up to Southeast, and after that it goes to anyone?
it says annual permits will be granted to the town of Southeast businesses residents first, after February 1st, available to the general public. So you didn't parse out if veterans are first during that first 30-day period.
Veterans should be 30 days.
And then what you're saying is then
Next
town-
30 days is
Town
and
business.
then it goes to anybody.
The only problem that you have with that
If it is.
is what happens at December 31st. Your permit expires, now I can't get a new permit for 60 days.
Why would that have, why would that be?
'Cause
If your
Because
permit,
it's a calendar year permit, ends December 31st. Now, I'm not a town of Southeast resident, I'm not a veteran, I'm not a Southeast business.
right.
I'm not allowed to get my permit
right,
until March 1st. So now you have a 60-day gap.
and it would really be a 10-month, so you're paying, for 12 months, you're paying for 12 months, and you only can have 10 months.
Well, they're paying for a permit, and that's $250 or whatever the number is gonna be.
Can't we
Whatever
do-
it is.
Well, if you can shorten it up by saying veterans, town of Southeast residents, business holders, first 30 days. And then after that 30 days, if there's any permits left, then anybody outside of Southeast. Which just gives you that 30-day gap, which is January anyway.
Yeah, except
Which is
that,
a slow time.
my sense is that the veterans are being given preference. So if you're saying town of Southeast residents and veterans,
See,
then
my
the
whole
town is-
idea of veterans, I was under a misconception, and Will set me straight, that they were exempt from the law. But it's disabled veterans, and they can park on any state thoroughfare with proper parking, whatever, without getting any permit from the town or from the state. So we never included, Bob and I never included veterans in those 7. The 7 that we had, we.
So it's veterans, as many veterans as one, and 7 others?
Well, that's what I was thinking, right.
Yeah.
Well, that could be, okay.
Well,
So if
right
that's
now
what
there's
it-
only one.
if that's what it is, we gotta go back and change the number. We gotta say
They'll have to be owner.
unlimited veterans and 7 other permits,
so now you're,
up to 12.
now my unlimited veterans could be, and
And
I
that's-
we haven't had unlimited
But
veterans.
they're
on-
owner operated, so that's
Right.
gonna, right then and there, put a stop to.
Yeah, big time, I hope.
Yeah.
Because if they're not owner operated, they're part of
Like you
the
said,
7.
we're not
Okay,
overrun right
so,
now.
no one said that when we were doing the 7. No one said veterans plus 7. So that's
No,
what
right, you're correct, no
Yeah.
one said that.
Okay, so-
Owner operated veterans, plus 7.
okay. So Michelle, just make that change. Okay, no one said that earlier when we
So
discussed it.
basically, what they're doing with veterans now would stay the same.
Yeah, well, not what they're doing now,
Well,
the new laws. Okay, so I didn't hear that before, I don't know why, but it's there.
Yeah.
Okay. March 1st, last day, December, forget that, all will expire last day, December, that's true, last day. Applicants, nope, we already did that. Will site location come with automatic renewals? Now, the answer to that, I hear, is no. There will be no automatic renewals. It's
That's
gonna-
what it sounds
every
like.
year- Every year, it's open season. And then we're gonna have to discuss.
think
if
once
this
we
is gonna go
decide-
out-
right,
Is
what-
this gonna go out to an RFP? Now, like the train
RFP or
station
lottery.
may be a hot topic, and we go out to RFP, and that's it. But is that the only hot, if that's ours? even.
Well, that's,
If it's
well,
ours.
if it's, I mean,
We have
that's
to
the
figure
only
that out.
hot
Yeah,
place that I would.
so the only time we're gonna have to go
That's
out for an RFP, Will, is for town property then, basically, right?
That's correct.
Because I have to admit, I tried to get Town Park, ball
You
fields,
couldn't get any.
we had no takers. There's just
I know.
not enough takers.
John has a question, but I know he has to come, you have
Come
to
up
come
to
up.
the front, please.
I was just gonna suggest, why don't you have it open in December for permitting for the following year? You know, and just have that,
Just,
Yeah.
come up here.
sorry.
And this is a lot of work. Poor Michelle's saying, how am I gonna do all this?
Now, why don't
That's
you
what I-
open permitting for the month of December
Believe you me, it's.
for the following year?
Looks
And just have notices in the town that you're doing it.
Yeah,
That way you don't lose the month of January.
Right.
Or the vendors can go for a full year.
Right.
You're talking
Next
about
year,
for the
for
town
2017,
for the town
start
properties.
December 1st, you're opening up the permitting process for the following year.
yeah.
And that way,
Yeah.
It's over now by January 1st. That's good.
Okay. Michelle, did you get that?
Yeah, but I think, Tony, I think one thing that we are gonna find is, when we did the comprehensive plan, part of the comprehensive plan was to clean up the town and make things look a lot nicer and neater.
These are gonna be beautiful. You saw the pig.
What I'm saying is, there are gonna be people, because of site plan amendments and things, and, I know it's private property, but like you pointed out, the mobile station near me they clearly wouldn't even have enough room.
I don't think any gas station in this town could do it, to be
Right.
honest with you.
But that's
We
what I'm saying,
got a new one coming out
it's-
in 312. What more could they put there?
I
Got
know.
Dunkin' Donuts, this,
Right,
that,
well,
and
they-
everything else.
But I'm saying it is a huge can of worms, because are people honestly gonna need site plan amendments, or if it looks really junky, it is on private property, and then where do we come into it? I mean, and taste is in the eye of the beholder, so, it could be very, very problematic. is
I know,
what
that's why I don't like this.
I know you don't.
I'm sorry. It just, it's really getting really super complicated.
I mean, it's working in other communities.
Well,
Maybe we're reading into things too much, I don't know.
okay. Yes, sir.
Steve Moriali. If the 1,000 feet is in effect, a lot of that being too close, what you were talking about, site plans, 1,000 feet from Dunkin' Donuts and all that, nobody would be able to park along that, I would think. Also, the one thing is the gray water.
The what?
The gray water,
Gray
you have
water.
gray water,
Okay.
just where you wash dishes. Most places have the town will say, that here's a drainage. You have to go dump there. You can't dump on the ground where you're at.
Okay.
So you would have to open up a certain manhole or a drainage, something to where, here you go, you guys have to go dump there, if you're gonna dump in town. Otherwise, you take it wherever you come
Yeah.
from and dump it there.
Yeah, because you could be pouring grease and things which end up in the reservoir, so. that's
Now, you,
fine.
you own a food truck?
No, I don't. I want to. Last year, I've been doing research on
Okay,
food
just so
trucks.
you're not, I'm just curious if you're operating in other communities.
Not right now, no.
Oh, okay.
Also, a lot of the food trucks are doing first come, first serve.
What do you mean by that?
The site where they are,
Yeah.
even in the city, the first one arrives gets that spot. It's a small group of people normally, they all get along, they all know each other. And like breakfast, I don't want to do breakfast. Fork in the Road probably doesn't want to do breakfast, I can't speak for him. But it's a small community and everybody gets along. They're like brewers who, share ideas and they get along. So most municipalities have said it's first come, first serve. And the research I've done from Portland to New York is that seems to be working. Not that,
I mean, I know that's how it works in Midtown Manhattan.
Right.
The food, nobody's reserving a spot for them. Whoever pulls in a commercial vehicle spot first, they have to feed the parking meter or whatever.
correct.
And they're there. The next day, you get there later, you're not there. You
Yeah,
go
whoever
around the
wants to
corner,
work the hardest and get up
Right.
the earliest.
And like, I don't know if it was Peter or someone said, and what they do is on social media or whatever, they tell the people, hey, we're around the corner today on 59th Street,
And from what I've seen, most of the food truck guys talk to each other constantly. They're all friends because they're all in the same business, like most restaurateurs or things like that.
So what you've heard tonight, this is pretty getting super complicated, no?
It sounds like it's getting complicated, yes.
And again,
But it's-
we haven't had a problem really since this has started.
Well, we never had any food trucks.
Yes,
really.
we did. The people had, the option was out there for years upon
For
years,
veterans.
for veterans.
Right, but a
Now
lot
you're
of
extending
veterans
it
don't
past
have
veterans.
the, I
But I
mean,
think it should be the same thing, it just doesn't have to, I mean, I'm sure you guys don't want to be the referees of who gets what. And
Oh, hell no.
whether it's,
No.
you know, if you make it simple or and just, like I say, first come, first serve.
For the
As far as the
location.
permit and the license, have it permit/license, so it's one thing, have it all, the photo ID. I think New York, actually, the city has to where it's, your license has your picture, sort of like the cabbie's medallion. Your license comes with the picture, so it's all one thing, permit, license, it's all together.
So the individual, like people that work inside, don't have
Don't have to,
photos.
they're under the umbrella of the owner. But they're all owner operators. Most of the time, it takes more than one person in a truck.
Right.
So they will have their employees under them, but they have to be there the time. They can't leave their employees to man it.
Now, this town always made the veterans the priority. okay?
Right, and I
And
agree
again,
with
the state
that.
law was what it was, and they expanded upon it and made it all veterans, not just disabled veterans, so to speak.
Right.
And again, but people now started to, they found a loophole. In
Right.
other words, a veteran applied, someone else does this, and then they got a third party actually running to circumvent the law, so to speak.
Me personally, for the veterans, I don't mind. And
I
if a
would,
veteran, if a veteran's son wants to operate
But it's
while
not
I'm
the
not
son.
there,
It's not the son.
who would it be?
it's a-
Oh, you're saying just
It's- I mean,
hire somebody to
The
do it?
reality is a veteran comes in, because they're the only ones that can get the license now.
Right.
In turn, another person below that, a son, daughter,
girlfriend.
is, owns the business, and then someone else is running the food truck on behalf of that establishment.
Right.
That's third generation. It was meant for veterans. I mean, some veterans in certain areas can't get jobs and have a difficult time, and this was something that, in one of the reasons state for disabled veterans, set something up for veterans to do.
Correct.
So,
But I think the veterans get priority of the licensing/permit.
which is what we're doing now, and
Right.
open it up to the general
And
public
then-
as well.
Right, and then they have to follow the same rules as a vendor.
But I don't want the rules to get so crazy, and right now I think they're kind of really crazy.
Right, I agree.
So we want to make it more simpler?
Well, yeah, I
Simple is
mean,
good,
yeah,
so.
simple. keep it simple,
KISS,
but-
you heard that
I mean,
one
the whole
expression.
food truck phenomenon, it's a whole new thing. It's not like it used to be. It used to be, hot dog trucks, that's all the veterans really had. Now we're talking about restaurants, and food trucks are a whole new thing now. It's more sophisticated. We never had that before. The Clock Tower was the first truck that I know of in town where it's, more gourmet food and, not just hot dogs. And I don't think the average veteran who's independent can afford a truck or run a truck like that. It's usually associated with restaurants.
So you just want to take it away from just
No, no, I'm
veterans
not-
only?
no, but
No,
one of them-
instead of veterans only, you want it to make it veterans
Well,
plus.
the veterans plus, right, exactly. If a veteran wants to have a food truck or a hot dog truck, whatever, we don't want to hurt them and let them do it. But if now a restaurant like Brewster Pastry or someone else wants
Well,
to
then,
do something, then.
if you
yes.
change it from veterans plus.
Right, and that's what I think.
But
our
all
goal
this
is.
other, I mean, it's really getting to the point, I mean, really, who does this work? I mean, Michelle's got,
Well, it's just the licensing part, but.
No, and it's gonna be it could be very hard for enforcement too. As I said, with site
well,
plan,
with
if
name
you're-
tags, it's not gonna be too difficult, okay?
No, I think what Lynn's.
No, I'm talking about zoning enforcement, and, if people are if people complain because they're at the mobile station and there's just not room, and then Michael Levine has to go out and inspect.
Well, I just think before something is allowed to go on a property, a food truck or whatever, all these parcels had to get approval.
I know, that's
And I'm
what
gonna
I'm
tell you
saying.
right now, none of them got approval for a food truck.
Right, because we didn't
None.
have them, of course
Yeah.
not, of course not.
So would we talk, just keep them on public property or
Again,
right-of-ways?
if they have room, if the site plan allows it, go in for a site plan amendment to allow
Right.
the food truck to be there.
Right, so they could do that then.
Yeah.
Well, do site plans prohibit food trucks?
Not if you have room for them,
Do
probably.
site plans prohibit, I mean, there's
Not
no.
specifically,
There's no
absolutely not
specificity with
specifically,
food
no.
trucks because we never had to worry about it.
No.
But it would be located in probably a parking area, which
Right.
is, you know, every use has a specified number of parking spaces
Right.
for that use. Say a gas station, because of, based upon the square footage of the occupancy, they have to have X number of parking spaces. Generally, they don't have more than they need under our zoning code. So this new user, for instance, would be coming in and saying, well, we're gonna park, it's gonna take up, I know the one up at the Shell station takes up 3 parking spaces. Now, those are 3 parking spaces that were probably designated once for parking based upon the
customers.
square footage of that facility. So now they're 3 parking spaces short, theoretically. And, you know, Tony makes a good point. Their site plan approvals were based upon that they had to provide X amount of parking for that particular use. And now there's an extra use being added to the site, so.
But if it's the, where the golf dome used to be,
Right, that, obviously, there's an
Right.
area that would have no problems, but let's just take the green glass building, and I'm sure it's too close to Applebee's, but let's say,
Well,
because
yeah.
there are tons of people going in and out, let's say someone wants to work there at lunch hour, we know that they're really strapped for parking, and I'm just using them as an example of some, that would be a nightmare as far as taking up parking spaces and everything else, even though they're meeting code and everything now, it's because the use has changed over the years, and it's highly successful. So, you know, the
property owner would
comprehensive.
have to agree to it.
I know, but the comprehensive plan was done to, you know, to make things look better, and I can see, depending on the visibility, things not looking better now.
Property owners would like
Right.
to get additional income. So if they can charge for a site and someone's willing to pay them, they're gonna take it. And again, in the fairness of anyone that has to go through a planning process, some of them take like 3 years, for God's sakes, before they get what they want, okay? And if it's, everything is already prearranged on the site, you just can't plop something down here and have it happen. So we have to simplify the process.
All right, so why don't, instead of going on all night?
Well, we're almost done, but
I think we
I think
are
it's really kind of complicated. And, you know, poor Michelle is the one who's gonna end up doing all this work. It was not a problem when it was veterans. So if you wanna make it Veterans Plus, and it has to be simple. This is not simple. This is like nuts. How do we make it simple and make it work? Again, we haven't had a problem. Again, and we have, charging for a license, I mean, look, it's only for the convenience. We're not making money on this, okay? But there's a lot of bookwork involved. There's gonna be enforcement, you know, the building inspector will be out there enforcing this, or code enforcement, not just the building inspector. So, and, you know, people may get fines, and you go, and you have court cases. I mean,
And
we
if you
gotta
look-
keep it simple. We haven't had
Have
a
you looked at
problem.
other
All these
towns, like I know Ridgefield, other towns, to see how theirs look? Their laws on food trucks?
Well, we did get, Ashley got us some
I was
from
gonna say, yeah.
Beacon and nothing in Connecticut.
Okay, well, that's fine, I mean.
The biggest thing that's the difference between us and, say, Beacon.
Right,
Beacon is saying you take a parking space.
right.
You know, as long as you meet all the other requirements, you're not parking in front of another restaurant, you pay a parking, you feed the meter, just like New York City. The problem is, we don't have any of those.
Right.
So that's where the dilemma comes in.
and that's also like the city. Most of the pictures, they were
Yeah, definitely on the
food
sidewalk.
trucks, right?
Yeah.
Well, can't we say the same thing with using Michelle as the example? If he's got X number of parking spots and he wants to allow the food truck there, and he's gonna miss out on 3 parking spots for a potential customer, that's his problem.
Yeah. Well, that's what we're saying, like the green glass building. You
Right.
could park a food truck all the way up on the top by the dumpsters, where those, you know, if that's what the property owner wanted.
Well, what's the purpose in having a site plan approval and approving, I mean, these guys go through hell to get what they get, okay?
But they're gonna be the ones that are saying it's okay to have the food truck here.
But they're gonna do it because they need the money to help pay their bills.
But we
Well,
still
I
have the
don't
right
think- it's
to
also
approve the
right.
location. Because in essence,
How-
we have the right to approve the location, which means we have a mini, let's say, a mini planning board now doing it. Because if we have the right to, I assume we have the right to approve the location in a private property. Is that what we're saying?
No,
everyone?
because then it gets, I mean, we are trying to keep it simple, so we really wouldn't. have
Okay,
that.
well, the first is ensure that approved by the Southeast Code Enforcement Officer. So
Okay, well-
that's in that same paragraph with the private property. So are we saying that on private property, we still have the right to approve where the location is? Because then, you know, we can, the zoning and Southeast Code Enforcement Officer can look at the site plan and say, well, let's look at this, you know?
Well,
He wasn't approved for a food truck and you don't have room.
Well,
Right,
no one
well,
was
for
approved for a
example,
food truck and
you
no one
know-
was disapproved for a food truck. It's
Right,
not like
but-
it- yeah,
So
yeah.
let him go back and get the site plan approval and let him
But
keep
it's
it there.
not gonna be a permanent structure, it's
Right.
only gonna be there a
And
couple hours.
No, I
we're
know.
saying keep it simple, but we're complicating
Right.
it all over again now, asking people to go back for site plan approvals. They say we're not business friendly to begin with, and now we're gonna complicate.
I mean, I don't
Yeah,
have
but
a
if a
problem with
person-
the truck
It's not
being
their
parked, and I'm
business.
not saying Mount Kisco Medical would wanna do it.
No, no.
But they're not gonna make, I mean, they're not gonna be doing it because they wanna make money. If they decide to do it, it's gonna be a
And I think,
courtesy
Mr. Moriarty, that's
to
a
their
good point. You
customers.
gotta be near something that, I mean,
Right.
what are you gonna do with the grease and the water and the whatever? I mean, I've never been in a food truck, but I presume that, you know, the code enforcement officer is going to have to say, I don't think this is a good idea, much like we would have the planning board saying, well, you have to, you know, watch out for that wetlands buffer and whatever. It sounds to me like there's, the location that's gonna be approved has to be,
Well, it can also be that you're not allowed to dump gray water, period.
Catch him.
You take it back to where you
well, it's
came
a
from.
private property owner who's
Right,
gonna ultimately be
Yeah, it's a-
responsible.
right,
exactly.
But a private
Right.
property owner could
Well,
easily
they-
say, just pour it, we don't care, pour it down
Yeah.
The
there,
Dome-
and
the
that would be
Dome place
okay.
doesn't have any place to dump water.
Well, they would
Yeah.
take it with them, just.
But then the Southeast
Throw it in
Enforcement
the
Officer
detention
and the
basin.
Department of Health is gonna say,
Well, right.
well, we're not gonna let you park it there.
And I'm sure the health, does the health department, is that, you know,
The health department, well, not here, but a lot of health departments in Westchester, they actually tell you that you have to dump your gray water at a site that the town has, that Westchester has designated for the food trucks to dump their water, so they have to dump their water
Or you
there.
take it with you too.
Right.
Yeah, there is a purpose of the mass,
You
you
can
got
dump
Yeah.
it in your own
a
site.
washing station and you, the water.
You have to come, you have to come up, the gentleman can't hear you.
On some events, the health department asks you to have a wash hands
Right.
station. You take the water, whatever it is, we do it, you bring it back where, I'm a business, I bring it back to the bakery. They ask you that, especially in Connecticut, you have to have a wash station, you can wash your hands. In Putnam, it's not obligated. But because I'm operating in Connecticut, I bring that wash station with me everywhere I go. And that I carry back the water with me at the bakery and I dump it over there. You cannot dump on the place where you are. Everywhere I go on the market, all the time. And it's not big deal. You're not washing the dishes. It's a short time period. If you go for breakfast, you're selling the food. You're not making it there. You make it, cut it, sell it. Let's say you don't wash the dish over there. It's all paper cup. Everybody take everything.
Right.
I mean, I don't have much. I maybe have a small garbage in 6 hour business that I do. Maybe have a small bucket of garbage. That's all what I have. Everybody take everything. It's all make, take, and that's it. And the water, wash station, you bring back your water. You have a station with bleach and soap, and you have to bring everything back in the bakery.
Well, I'm not gonna, I mean,
No, you're not gonna ask that.
the current location of one, at least is a restroom facility. Okay, you're worried about washing your hands. There's other things that
Well,
people
look
do.
here, look
Especially if
where I
they're
go,
working-
they have the
Huh?
bathroom.
You have to have one.
What?
You have to have a sink to wash your hands.
No. I'm talking about when you have,
Restroom.
another event, one or two.
Oh,
Okay, bathroom facilities.
yeah.
Okay? I mean,
Well, I'm lucky I go,
I ain't
wherever
gonna-
I go is bathroom provided by
well,
the
I mean, you
place
guys
where I go.
laughing.
I
I'm
just wanna know, you
I mean,
know.
It's true.
Characterization.
You know,
But-
at least where this one is up the road, there's a place that person can go. But I'll be back in 5 minutes, okay?
Yeah.
Okay,
But
anyway, we're not gonna
we
go
don't
there.
do
Yeah,
any of this for
please.
the
Yeah.
veterans.
Just wanna kill
The
myself.
veteran,
We're
as
talk-
it stands now with veterans, they
Right.
don't, nobody requires them to have
We're
it.
saying we're not
So why, we're
complicating
like,
things.
we're
I'm
making it
just-
more complicated than what we have.
But, look it, you guys brought this here.
No, I
Tell
understand.
us how simple, first of all, it's too damn complicated.
I think-
So make it simple.
we want to make it simple.
Then
but-
then tell us what we don't want to do here.
Well,
Or
I
write
mean, as
something
far as
up.
site plan approval and everything for something that's gonna be parked a
But-
couple
No, no,
hours
we're
a
not
day.
talking about site
You
plan. I'm saying
can't-
they had passed site plan approval, and then you're altering that. I'm not saying they have to go back, I'm just saying you're altering that, and things have to be checked, like fire lanes have to be clear, and things, I'm saying it is a little more complicated.
Say I'm
than
a
you
car
would think.
dealership and I have a great location, I'm
Yeah.
right on the intersection or whatever, and I want to park that food truck there, okay? What do you do then?
Property owner says, okay, why not?
But we have veterans now,
But
we have
that's-
somebody doing it right now, and he's existing
And
the
there's,
way
but
he
there's been no
is.
problems, and we're making
So
this.
how do we know there's
So,
gonna
right,
be a
so why are we
problem?
gonna make more problems
You-
just
I
because
bring
we're adding
stories.
7 more?
No, but you're saying that, you know, what the veterans do now, and I don't even think there's that many out there, but the guy that used to be a Scopino field,
Yeah.
you know, nobody made sure he was washing his hands or anything
No,
like that, right?
that's up to Department of Health. They
Right,
gave the
so
permit.
that's what I'm
Right, so-
assuming would be the same now with the
Right.
clock tower
So let's-
grill
Right, so
guy and everything.
all we should care about is liability insurance and all
And
the
safety.
other, you know, all the other
So
things we're
write it up
talking
accordingly
about.
then.
And we do have to worry about our employees as far as how much of a burden it's gonna put on them, that's all.
I'm sorry, say that one.
How much of a burden it does put on the town clerk
Zoning
or the
enforcement
zoning
officer.
enforcement officer.
So write
or
it
the-
up.
That's all.
Super simple, and call it a day.
Well, then wait, obviously, we're gonna
I mean, I don't
have
think-
another discussion, but
Well,
not call it a day.
well, the thing
It
is,
actually is pretty simple as the first 2 pages are.
Right, yeah, exactly. I
Which
mean,
is the first 2 pages, starting
Page
memorandum
two.
to town board? You're talking
Yeah.
about that? Because I have like 5
Yeah.
pages, I think.
That really was the culmination of going through all the stuff on the back of it. Was with those 2 pages. And the whole idea, the only thing I think that's somewhat cumbersome is the idea that the site has to be approved by the code enforcement officer. But I think that's an encumbrance that we should have, so that we
What-
make
what
sure
you
there's
do-
not
And it's not
a danger to-
an
then you-
all-day
Well, what are you gonna-
process.
what are you
It's
gonna
just
look
to-
at?
that there's
Determination
enough
arbitrary.
spaces,
No,
it's
you're not blocking a fire
not
lane.
blocking a fire lane.
And
it's
the
not
other
on a
question I
blank
had
curve.
we were talking about the site plan. It's not a permanent structure,
No, I know.
so that at the end of the day,
It's gone.
it's gone. And
Yeah, but our site plans, remember, include cars and things that are gone at the end of the day. But that's what our site plans include.
Understood, but I'm just saying, if a property owner says, well, I want to take up 2 of those spaces that I use for cars, to put a
Right.
food truck, to make it convenient for my employees to get lunch,
Right.
rather than have to go to wherever, you know, it's sort of their decision. It's a little muddy. I have to agree. My way of thinking is, the first 2 pages, and let's see what happens.
well, the first 2 pages doesn't go into the things about having the people wear tags, name tags, which I
Well,
think is
those
important.
things.
Doesn't have, I don't know if it has the insurance.
But are we gonna start doing that with veterans now? Make sure they have name tags and that? we-
Yes.
Okay, well, I'm just saying, 'cause we never
Well,
did it.
veterans more so than anyone, because I'm telling you right now, that's where the abuse is going on just recently.
So we wanna make sure a veteran,
Anyone who gets a license should have that.
Right.
Yes.
okay, so that's something we have
Our
to do.
permit,
And
whatever we
Levon
issue.
can make, we have the machine.
We have
ID
the
card,
machine, they
so
can
we
take a
do
picture.
that.
Yeah.
Not a big deal.
And the license for a veteran could say veteran,
Good,
Yeah.
period.
veteran vendor or whatever.
Now, this past winter, I noticed going up on 22 on the left-hand side, sometimes there's a hot dog truck there, just past Old Stage Door Furniture on the straightaway before you start going down Jackass Hill on
Oh,
22.
in Patterson.
In Patterson,
Oh, right,
yeah. There was a hot dog truck, well, there was a veteran there this year, he said veteran, he was selling, Christmas wreaths. Okay.
Yes, yes, I've seen
Okay.
them, yeah.
I wouldn't have a problem with that, but that's not what we allow food trucks,
Right.
okay? But,
But veterans can sell other things, right, or not?
I don't know. I don't
They
know.
can.
Yes, they
Can
can,
I?
according to.
Well,
Yes.
yes,
Yeah.
okay. So, but again, I'm just identifying, he had veteran, he's out there and he was selling
Right. Yeah,
Christmas
I've
wreaths.
seen him, yeah.
And there was a food truck, but I don't know who operates that.
Yeah, there's a guy on Route 6 in, I guess it's Yorktown, that's, sells birdhouses. Yeah, I see the car parked on the side of the road. and-
So you want to write up something including, now, insurance, do we require them to have the insurance? And name the town as additional insured, I think that's a good
Required.
idea.
Yeah, I have no problem with that, but do we
Yeah.
do that with veterans now or not?
I-
I don't think so.
Michelle?
You mean for insurance?
Yeah,
Yeah.
do we do that?
Oh.
No, they don't
They have
do
their
that.
car insurance and.
Well, I'm just, so, right, so I mean, we gotta,
Well, now, but now, we're going out, there more people will be exposed to this. Again, if something happens, we're getting sued
No, I
anyway.
know, but now that we're discussing this, if something happens with a veteran, we should make sure they have insurance too.
Well, they would have to. The veterans will not be exempt from the law, other than the fact they don't have to
So
pay
make it better.
for.
Right, we'll make it better and safer for the
Yeah.
consumers.
And most, hopefully they have insurance.
And I'm sure they do, but right, we just need to make sure.
And if not, they
do.
can have their homeowners insurance covered as well.
I mean, if a veteran's selling hot dogs, they need health, Department of Health still
Department,
has to
yes, they
give them a
do.
permit.
Yeah, I think if we took the first 2 pages and add some of the things to it with the insurance, you know, I didn't know until Steve came up that that's something that, or Terry came up that says that's something that places look for, that they want to be an additional insured. So I think that's a great idea. So I think if we take the first 2 and we manipulate it a little bit, I think we have something relatively simple that's relatively safe.
You're gonna do the first, veterans, how do they get first priority?
Well, veterans.
It's veterans plus 7.
Right.
So
Okay,
veterans
so
can
there's-
just come if,
So the veteran, so in other words, from day one, anyone can come in and apply for the permit. Veterans,
No, and what John said, I think it's great, we do from December 1st to December 31st, we figure out the, you know, if we want to say, you know, November 1st to November 30th is town of Southeast residents and businesses in Southeast. December 1st to December 31st is anybody else until we have our 7. Permits start January 1st. We
now
go
it's
from there.
veterans plus,
Veteran, if
Veterans plus
veterans
7.
plus 7, yeah.
now do you wanna write that up, and that's what, the discussion, you wanna write it up and just have the public hearing? How do you wanna do it?
I would just as soon write it up and have a public hearing, because I think we hashed out really most of the stuff, and I think if Bob and I took a couple hours, sat down with us, I think we'd be fine. I don't know what Bob's thoughts are.
yeah, I mean, I would
Well-
run it by Will first, then make sure he's okay with it, and then, yeah, we want just to have a public hearing and see what people say. Probably nobody will say anything, because usually nobody comes to our.
I'd say maybe the second, the second
This one's
meeting in
getting
February.
exciting.
Will, can we call for a public hearing in a work session?
No,
No.
So I
I
can,
mean, you could, this is a regular meeting, you could just go back into
Yeah,
a regular
okay.
session
I mean, we don't
and
have
set
to
a
do it
public
tonight.
hearing.
so you wanna wait?
Yeah, I can.
So
I can
we bring
work
it, bring it forward next meeting,
Yeah.
we'll set the public hearing,
Yeah.
we'll rehash it
That's
one
fine.
last time, quick,
Yes, that's
short,
fine.
sweet to the point.
Yep.
Set
And
the
then we'll
public
set the
hearing for the
public hearing
following
and,
meeting, as long as we got 2 weeks' notice
Right.
beforehand.
Yep.
Does anyone have a count, look, we have to kinda expedite
It's
this.
February 4th is when you're gonna set, you're gonna rehash again and look at, to set.
And when's the
public
next
hearing.
meeting after that?
The 18th.
18th.
That's,
Yeah.
14 days. Yeah, how many times days we need, Will, 10?
For a,
Public
for
hearing.
a local law 5.
Oh, so that's not more
Well,
than,
we're only gonna do the public hearing.
Right.
right, so we're saying a public hearing for a local law. so
Okay, so
5
you need
days.
5? Oh,
5 days in advance.
We should be covered.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what we do.
This way we'll have it down pat the way everybody can agree on.
It's been fun. Can't wait to go buy hot dogs.
Well, if you go to the one now, you can buy a short rib sandwich.
That's right. You gotta, they don't have hot dogs at the
Can't go there.
fork in the road.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, now we're gonna go to public comment. And thank you all for participating
Yes.
earlier.
Hi, John Lord. Just wondered if you know of any decisions been made by the DEC on the lead agency for Barrett Hill?
Not as yet.
Okay. And I believe that the county has to weigh in on giving approval on any zoning change for Barrett Hill. Is that right? They have
Yes.
to, 239 and approval or something? Did they make any recommendations on approving the Barrett Hill, or did they have any
They-
rulings?
It was disapproved.
It was disapproved. Can you tell me what happened, or?
It would take a 4-1 vote. If it stays the way it is now, I think right now it's in limbo waiting for the DEC decision and whatever.
Okay.
Quite sure it'll be back here at some point in time. But the way it stands right now, it would take a 4-1 decision of this board to approve it.
And that would be if you were lead agency, or it would eventually
No,
come to your board
no.
anyway.
Right.
Right, the zoning
Correct.
change.
So if
For
there's,
the zoning
if it went
change.
to the planning board for lead agency, we come to you eventually for a zoning change.
Yeah.
Yes,
And the county has said that you would need a supermajority
Yes.
yes.
to
The
approve.
county disapproval requires the town then to have a supermajority.
Okay,
However, the county, I understand, they kind of felt they didn't have all the information when they originally made their decision, so I don't know what they're
And I will
gonna do.
contest it heavily when it happens.
okay, so.
They had
They
same
wanna kind
information
of do a
everyone had.
redo, and I don't know where it stands now, but they said that they didn't
So
have
the-
all the information.
So the county's decision may not actually be the county's decision?
That'll be a battle to be taken up in the future, I promise.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, no, I wasn't aware of it, and thank you very much.
And as far as the lead agency status, though, Will and I did a conference call with Tom LaPerche, the chairman of the zoning board and attorney for the DEC. And Will, wasn't it, how was it, they kind of said that if nothing changed, if the footprint and everything was the same of what was originally approved, that the town board should be the lead agency because it already went through planning board
That's
approval?
essentially what they said, but as the discussion continued, it was made clear that because of the passage of time and the changes in regulations, that most likely even though the developer, Barrett Hill Associates, indicated that they were not intending on changing their site plan, there may very well be a need for a change in the site plan. And the last word I got from Mr. Weintraub, I believe it was, of the DEC, was that he was going to put it to the commission
Right.
for a decision. And that was
Couple of
2 weeks ago at
Yeah.
least.
Right. And we never heard back yet.
We haven't heard anything further.
Thank you.
Anyone else in the public? The board? Now, Bob, you're gonna prepare something with Will, Peter, for the next meeting on the other, right? Okay, anything else?
Everyone be careful over the weekend. I think the snowstorm totals are increasing, but who knows until it's here and gone.
And Tony, are you gonna give us a quick update? How are we doing this year financially so far? Do you, things
You
are?
know what today is?
I know, but I thought you had things to, no, nothing?
No, I took it off intentionally tonight because I knew you were gonna ask. But I did take it off intentionally because we're trying to work on balancing the books from last year.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
So there's really nothing to report, and with 21 days into this season for the new year, I can tell you we're in great shape.
Okay,
And the
perfect.
longer it doesn't snow, we're gonna do even better.
Okay.
How
Thank
many, did we get any responses back yet for RFPs for CPAs?
We've had,
I saw there
we've
was
had not numerous, we've had a few responses back. They've asked questions,
More
and matter of fact, I gotta ask Ron.
He answered them.
Did he respond to that? Okay, because we came up with some, people asked us questions.
Yeah.
We made a generic response to the two people, so everyone could see the questions are out there, and we forwarded to everyone so they can be aware of it, so.
And when is that? Do you remember when we want it back?
We're on a fast track, we have to,
Right,
by
that's-
February, I think February 5th, they have to be back by,
That's, the concern is because they have to do the report to the
Yes.
state by March. something.
yes.
So.
Anything else?
Nope.
I'll entertain a motion by someone.
I'll
Come
make a
on, Lynn, you
motion,
do
we
it.
Close
Come on.
tonight's meeting.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all
Thank
for
you.
coming.